entertaining them. So in Genesis chapter 18, the Bible says that Abraham was sitting under the mamre tree, and then he saw these three people, and then he brought them home. He went to them, and then he bowed himself, greeted them, and he asked them to come and take rest under his tree where he was relaxing. And if you look at a man called Abraham, Abraham was described as a mighty prince. In his community, in the area where he lived, he was a great man. Everybody respected him. He was a man full of possession. He was a man that had a whole community to himself. That's how mighty he was. In fact, the Bible says that Abraham had 318 great soldiers that were born and raised in his home. That's how powerful he was. When Abraham moved, a whole community moved. Abraham had around him almost about 1,000 people. If you do the math, we're talking about the army, their wife, their children, and those who couldn't make it to the army. So Abraham was a great man. He was so prosperous. And then the Bible says that in Genesis chapter 14, when they came out of Egypt, himself and Lot, they were so wealthy that their possession was too much for the land. So they had to separate. So this is a man I'm talking about. He was not somebody that you would say he was a man of a lower status in society. But the Bible says he ran to these people, visitors. He bowed himself to the ground, greeted them, welcomed them to his house, and then treated them to a good meal. He himself went to look for the right animal that would be good for the meal, gave it to the wife, and then asked the wife to prepare it for the visitors. I mean, what an attitude! What an attitude one can demonstrate towards strangers. So, attitude is so important. When you talk about attitude, we are talking about the way we feel, the way you see things, that influence how you treat people, the way you feel about yourself, the way you see yourself. Sometimes people see themselves so high that they're above everybody. Maybe because of what they possess, how they look, the family they are coming from, the name they, bear, the fact that they are born into a particular home. They carry that kind of notion that they are so special and important. Maybe the academic strength they have, maybe they have all the degrees and the position they hold in an office, or so they see themselves so important. They have this over exaggerated, um, you know, uh, picture of themselves. And because of that, everybody around them is below them. They want to just step over them, they want to treat them anyhow. But it doesn't matter who you are and how you see yourself. That is your personal assessment of yourself. And if you allow that to influence the way you treat other people, it can really affect you. You might not be able to go far. The higher you can go depends on how you demonstrate good attitude. You see, you can have great certificate, go to all the best schools and things like that, acquire the knowledge, but you might not be able to work long with that certificate. You might not actually enjoy working with that academic qualification. Why? Because it takes great attitude to be able to work with people. It doesn't matter the position. It doesn't matter what certificate you have. If you have wrong attitude, you might not last on that job. You move from job to job, and people can't just be around you to work with you. So attitude at the end of the day, it's all that you need. It's very, very important. Besides your education, besides whatever skill you might possess, you need good attitude to be able to enjoy whatever skill God has given to you, or the academic uh, 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 achievement you have. Is so important. So the Bible says that Abraham entertained these three people in Genesis chapter 18, if you read from verse 1. And something happened after Abraham had entertained them. And as I was reading the story, one of the things that really touched me, got my attention, was the fact that the Bible says, whilst they were eating, Abraham was just standing beside them looking. And I remember when we were young, how we used to stand around, hang around, as a sign of respect. And, when the elderly, they are eating, or in case they need something, they can, just call on you to bring it to them immediately. So it was part of the culture then. And it really drew my attention to those days, that Abraham, such a mighty prince, great man, in spite of his status, in spite of who he was at the time, how great and mighty this man was. He was standing whilst these visitors were eating. What an attitude! What an attitude. Would you expect somebody to honor visitors this way? People you are encountering for the first time. But the Bible says this is how Abraham treated them. And this is what happens. You see, whenever you demonstrate a good attitude, tomorrow you don't know who might recommend you for something, who might give you a good reference. You see, so attitude is so important. Is so important. So the Bible says in Genesis chapter 18, from verse 1 through 10, when you read, the Bible says, when you get to, in fact, where it actually moves in verse 8 and 9, it says, they asked him after they have eaten and they were about to move on to Sodom and Gomorrah. And then they said, where is your wife? Where is your wife? And he said, she's in the tent. And then the Lord said, a year by this time, I will come according to the time of men, and your wife will have a child. Isn't that amazing? That because Abraham treated them well, took care of them, the Bible says, before they left, you see, the Bible says that a good man's gift will open doors for him. So they sowed into the life of this man, they gave into the life of this man, then it is time for them, Abraham, to receive and the wife to receive. So what happened was, when he asked, where is your wife? And then he said, the wife is there. The wife actually laughed, because to her, she thought it was too late for her to have a child. But Abraham demonstrating good attitude. And then after treating them well, there was time for them to give back to Abraham. And he said a year by this time. So you see that because of good attitude, Abraham demonstrated towards these people. He showed good attitude. The Lord could not go to Sodom without blessing Abraham. The Lord had to say something. Good attitude yield fruitful results. It brings good returns. When you show good attitude towards people, you never know tomorrow what you might get in return. In fact, the Bible doesn't say anything about the fact that they were actually coming to Abraham. No. He only saw them and he ran to them and welcomed them, washed their feet, treated them well. So I can say that because of the good attitude he demonstrated towards the people, that actually opened the door for the breakthrough. Imagine Abraham did not entertain them. Imagine Abraham just ignored them and allowed them to pass. It does not mean that the coming of Isaac would have been stopped completely or God would have forgotten about it, but it is possible that it could have been delayed. But because Abraham brought them to the house, treated them well, there was a return. There was a payback in a positive way. This is great when it comes to attitude. You never know what you are going to get in return. And sometimes it's not even the person you are showing the good attitude towards that is going to give back. The person might be somebody that may lead you to another person who can actually help you. So if you show good attitude towards people, It's like a seed you have sown. The fruits would definitely come. There will be a time of harvest. And the person you showed the attitude towards, the person you did good to them, the person that you treated them well by your good attitude might not be in a position to help you themselves, but through them, there could be a recommendation. There could be a point of reference. They can attest to your good attitude. They can recommend you somewhere. And all of a sudden, there is a breakthrough. Abraham, because of the good attitude, that was the day the Lord prophesied or confirmed that a year by this time, you are going to have a child. Isaac is going to come, whether you like it or not. You have shown good attitude. You have treated us well. So attitude is very, very important. You see, you can be a beautiful woman, but without good attitude, you might not be able to get married, because men talk as women also talk. This is a very important thing, and it's a reality. Because a serious man that wants to live with a woman with the rest of his life, he wants to check out. He wants to find out. If he's in a church, he wants to talk to somebody. How is this person? How does he behave around people? Is he easy to work with? How, when you talk to the person, how does he behave and things like that? So attitude is so important. So also is with a man. If a woman is serious and he wants a man that is going to live with for the rest of her life, she wants to talk to somebody. She wants to find out, who is this man? Who is this guy? How is a character? How does he behave towards people? How is he able to resolve conflict and things like that? Like, is he a peaceful person? How is his attitude like? How does he talk to people? So you listening to me, attitude is about 80-90% of everything about our lives. If you are going to be a happy person, if you are going to enjoy life, if you are going to go higher in, everything is about attitude. Because of good attitude, Abraham miracle was fast tracked. That very day, the Lord said, whether you like it or not, a year by this time, you are going to have that child you have been waiting for. So beauty can take you to marriage, but to keep the marriage, it will take good attitude. You may be the most beautiful woman. Let me tell you something about a queen called, let me go to the book of Esther. The book of Esther talks about a queen so beautiful that she was Vashti in Esther chapter 1. When you read from verse 10 through 12, it will tell you about a very sad story. The king had a parade, was sitting in the public place, and then sent for the wife to come, and Vashti to come and sit by her, display her beauty and things like that. And you are the king's wife, and it's one of your duties. And when they sent for her, she declined. She said, I'm not coming. She refused to appear, and that was an insult. So one of the elders around the king said, no, if we allow this to continue, almost every woman in this empire is going to behave this way. So as a result of that, she lost her position. Beautiful, but wrong attitude. She lost her position. So attitude is so important. Brethren, as you are listening to me, if you know very well you have issues with people, everybody complains about you, but you don't seem to know why people can't just be around you. And all you say is that people don't like me, people don't like me. Have you sat down and just look inward? Ask yourself some questions. Am I a bit arrogant? Am I impossible to deal with? Do I feel, do I have this over exaggerated picture about myself, of what I possess, what I owe, who I am, and my academic achievements I have, the family I come from, and my connections I have, and things like that? You see, they can't take you far without a good attitude. Attitude is very important. I will call this the Abrahamic attitude. If you will learn from Father Abraham, a great man, mighty man, yet went down so low to treat people he was encountering for the first time. And as a result, of that. Look at what came out of it. It is very, very important. So, my brothers, my sisters, it is very important that we have good attitude. Let us learn from Father Abraham. Because of good attitude, his blessing was fast-tracked. And if you make some adjustment to the way you look at yourself, feel about yourself, and treat people well, not having that over-exaggerated picture of yourself, but calm down. As long as you are down, there is room to go up. But if you think you are that high, you cannot go any further. Your good attitude will determine how high you go in life. Good attitude determines your altitude. So God bless you until we meet again. Shalom.